people can join and come in. We will start in a couple of minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
There was a question if I was on mute, and that's correct.
I think let's just start, and the rest will can join during the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for attending this event of our SAP knowledge sharing event. This time virtually because, of course, of the situation where we're all in. Hopefully we can do these events physically the next time. Hope that you guys are all excited as I am, because today we have two pretty famous speakers that are normally speak at the SAP Tech Ed. However, this time they will speak at the SAP event and talk about a very interesting topic. I would like to introduce you to Robert Eijp and Theo Bolta. Robert is going to take over in a second. I would like to say to you guys, if you guys have any questions during the presentation, please ask them afterwards. You can put them in the Q&A box below on the screen, and we will process these questions afterwards. Robert, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mohamed. So I will do this presentation together with my colleague Theo Bolta, and I will do the first part where I do a more generic introduction, and then my colleague Theo Bolta will take over and will tell about how SAP is going into that part. So I'm very pleased that I am invited by SAP to do this presentation, and I'm very happy that you join this webinar. So let's go start. Let's go. So the first question we have to ask is, what's happening? What's happening for the data? And of course, we can look a very long time back. And if we look at the 1700 age, then we saw that there was the Industrial Revolution. And what we did in that part was that we automate our hands. So what we did in the past with our hands and feet, we let do with machinery. And if we look at that phase, then we found out that it's about 200 years when that first revolution came to an end. And from that perspective, you saw that a lot of business models were changed or even gone and replaced by other business models. So, and if we look at what's happening now, we are only 70 years away, but we are now not automate our hands, but we will automate our brains. So, and I think that that's something we have to keep in mind, that the digital revolution we are now in is already started for 70 years ago with the transistor, but it's about replacing our brains by intelligence. And if we have the machinery and we have our intelligence, then we can also replace that by robotics. So that's a very important part to understand, that we are in the middle of that digital revolution, and we are just 70 years away. And we saw that the Industrial Revolution took 200 years. So what will be at the end? So, but also at this moment, we can see that a lot of our business models we have from the past are disappearing or changing. And I showed a couple of them into this one, but we see that there is a big change happening into the market. And I will explain in this presentation that this will go any further, because that will have a lot of impact, the digital revolution, to every company. So if we look at the perspective where we look at traditional key drivers for changing business models, it's about the cost, the quality, the time, the volume, and the efficiency. So this is mostly what we did the last years to change our business models. But we will see that at this moment, there are more key drivers we have to look at, because these are not the only ones. This is what we get from school. We have to look at the cost. We have to look at the quality. But we found out that there are 3 more which are very important to understand. And most of them, if you look at business models, they are changed based on the external factors. So a company will not change because it is saying, okay, I want to change. No, it will be changed because there are a lot of external factors which will force those companies to change their business models. And if we see what the UN has done for the next 30 years, is they have some goals, sustainability goals, which will influence also those business models. And one big part of that will be based on the digital revolution we are in at this moment. So if we look at that a little bit closer, then we see that we will not change that much the challenges we have, but it's the way how we will solve it. And this is an example where we see, for example, that we do transport of people. On the left upper, we see that we do it by hands. And then there came the steam machine. So the industrial revolution, where we use steam to get faster over the railway. And then we get electricity, which even make it more faster to do our traffic of persons. But all those 3, we were depending on people who were driving that train. And what we found out now is that we are in a shift, that we will automate also the brains, so we can do our traffic without a people who is a driver. So, for example, at Heathrow Airport, you already have some trains which are automatically drive, and it will go faster. And on the right underside, you will see a loop where you will see that it will even go faster in the way of transporting, and no people are involved in driving that train. So it's important to understand that the challenges will not change. It's only based on how we have to solve those challenges. So if we look at the new business drivers, the additional business drivers, we see which will change the part. We see there are 3 of them. It's about sustainability. What we found out that people are shifting for owning products, that they will put it in a way that they will get it as a service. And that's meaning that the ones who produce the product will be also the owner of the product. And if you go to a service concept, you don't want to have that the product is broken very fast, as you have in normally if you sell something, but now you will change that one. So sustainability will also force that we get better products with a long lifetime to that one. We also see that it will be more personalized. So we will see that, for example, on the television market, where when I was young, you had only 3 senders where you can look at, and now it's personalized. You can go to Netflix, or you can choose others to choose the content you want. But also with 3D printing, for example, the production will not go anymore to China, where we have a big part of doing the production of in big volumes. No, we make it personalized on the place, on the location we are, and that's all supported by the digital revolution. So also the part of digitalization is very important to look at, where you can see what can happen and what you can do as an organization for changing your business models. So from that perspective, we have to look at those 7 or 8 key drivers instead of only those 5. And we also have to look now not only to humans and machinery, which we have tooling in between, but we also will have some stages of our intelligence, our automation of our brains. And we see that we have 5 phases in that one. So you will go from reporting, and reporting we know for a very long time because we have our paper-based reports. Then we have our reports, we get printed out of our SAP systems. But we will go further in that stage. We will see that we also will get real-time dashboarding. So we will see directly what's happening. We will see predictive dashboarding, where we will simulate the new situation. And we will get prescriptive dashboarding, where we only get a choice. Do you want to go to the left, or do you want to go to the right? And at the end, it will fully automated. And just like on the side of the tooling, it depends if you want to do it by a human or you want to do it by a machinery. So, and you have a lot of tools in between. So you will also have that in between your human and the artificial intelligence. Some parts you will still do by paper-based reports, but some of the parts will be fully automated. And what you also will see, if you combine the machinery and the intelligence, you will get robots. And so we get parts where we will not do it anymore ourselves. So, but we will take machinery with intelligence, we will take over the human. And we already see that in Industry 4.0, and we also see that in self-driving transport. So at the end, if you look at this stage, you will see that the combination of the industrial revolution and the digital revolution will have an impact on every business. And why is that? It's just because today's business is situated around people and human decisions. So if the human decisions can be automated, then that will impact our business at this moment. And I think that's a big shift, that if people say, oh, digitalization will not be on my part, I think they will have it wrong, because, and I will show you a couple of things later on, where even if you are a model or for advertising, it could be changed in the future. So if we are looking at digitalization, so what we can learn already, because we know that digitalization will come to our side. I already explained that it's about automating our brain into automation. So how can we learn from what we already know? And from that perspective, I look at a baby who want to crawl and then want to walk afterwards. And if we look at that baby, then we know a person will have 5 senses. And he will look at his parents and how they are walking. And he is thinking about, okay, I also want to walk. So he will see from experience from others what he should do. But of course, he will not, from laying down to standing up, there's a process in between. It's a learning process. And he will try, fall down, try and fall down. So, and we can learn a lot about this process, because we do exactly the same with our self-driving car. The first self-driving cars, it was just about a person who was sitting into the car, driving the car, and we are measured with a lot of digital sensors what's happening over there. And then we use some machine learning to look if we can replace that part. We want to learn something, and we get a lot of test data. And based on the test data, we use other sensors. We improve the machine learning, and we are just at the stage that we are now at the stage that we can have self-driving cars already. And it's just in the piloting phase at this moment, but keep in mind, if it happens, then it will change the complete transport industry, because we don't need drivers anymore. And I think we are just 10 years from that point. So I will be a person who will see that there are self-driving cars. So if we take that another step further, because this is just a car, we had the baby, this is just a car. But what if we are connecting all the sensors we have in our city, in our world together, and we are making use of all the data which is available, and we use a kind of smart platform to combine all those data together. That will be have a huge impact, and that will be in all industries of there. So if you look at that, we have to look at then what can we learn about the industry which already have this kind of structure. And in that kind of part, we can look at the process industry. The process industry already automate a lot of their processes, but it was very locally. It was in their own fabric where they did some automation. So if we put, instead of having the local network, we will put the internet in between, then we will get the so-called Internet of Things. So we replace the heart by an IoT platform. We use the dashboarding for our looking at what's happening, and we have our things to measure our data and to react on that one. So if we put it one step further, and we will combine this data which we have in our fabric, which we can measure everywhere, and we combine that with the data we have on social media, we have available on the public APIs, we have them in our business applications, and we can combine them, then we will get a smart platform, and that will change a lot. So the question will then, what will be a thing? So, and you have to imagine that anything can be a thing. I can have an examples of them. So for example, the things you have in your home, you can measure them and you can use that data. The things you drive, you can measure them, you can data. The things you have in your pocket, you have a complete calculator, but also a movie, a video recorder, all that kind of stuff in your phone. All things you wear, we can put sensors on your clothes and wear that data. Things we had at work already over there. Things we can put a tag on and we can measure them if they pass some gate and to that. Things we will share. So we don't have the things only we have ourselves, but we can also make use of things of other people. And even things in space. The ESA has brought a lot of satellites into the space, which do measurement of our environment in the world. And based on the data, we can make use of that data also. So anything can become a thing, even if you think about it. The only thing you have to do is to connect it. You have to connect it to the internet or to the network. And we have a lot of possibilities to do that even so. And even if we cannot connect it, maybe from security reasons, for example, we have the possibility to do an indirect connect. So it can be standalone, but on some places, we can make a connection to the internet. So, and if we look at those things, what will they produce? A lot of raw data. So we get a lot of data. And we already have a lot of data in our organizations. We have multi of data on the internet. So data itself will not say nothing, because raw data is useless unless we can bring it into a business context. So it's very important that we know that we have a lot of data, that we have a lot of possibilities to add additional data with the sensors I mentioned. But the most important part is that we have to put it in a business context, because if we can bring it in a business context, then we can do something about our business processes. So then it's the question of course, how can I bring that business data or that raw data into a business data? So that's the main question. And we see a lot of parts we already see into the market, which will help us. So for example, we have some logic which will recognize patterns of the data. And if we recognize a pattern, we can use that pattern to simulate other patterns or to do some prediction to that one. We also can use that data with learning algorithms, that we get new information out of the existing information. And we can compare them with reference data we already have in the past. And if we are using this kind of functionalities, we have the possibility to analyze and predict our data, and we can share and use that data. And if we do bring that together, then we will have it into our business context. And from that business context, we can even make a virtual reality. This is an example of a person which was made out of a lot of other photos. And this person does not exist. And you can go to the website and you'll see a lot of photos which will handle that. So it will be creating a virtual reality. You will get a reality that even not exist at this moment. So, but there's one downside, and that's the reason why it's very important that we have to have also some artificial intelligence to help us, because we get that many data that we cannot handle that as a person. We get a human data overload of that data. So to solve that one, we have to have a technology platform which help us to turn the data into a smart data. And from a smart data, we have to bring that into a business context. And what do I mean with smart data and business context? For example, if I live in my house, I have some geolocation, which will tell me that this is my house. So then I will have an address, and based on that address, which is smart data, will bring me, for example, to the Chamber of Commerce, will tell me that I have a company at my home, or it will tell me what's the value of my home, or it will tell me how many people are living over there. So just from getting a geolocation, I can go to an address, I can go to put it into a business context for that one. And those platforms, smart platforms, already have a lot of capabilities to help you to bring that from smart data into a business context, or from raw data into smart data. So then the main question is, of course, how will that smart data will help me in my business applications? And Theo will go further in the story. If we look at how that will be happen for SAP, I will make it more generic, because this is mostly the UIs you will see on classic ERPs. And we find a lot of fields we have to fill in. And most of the screens, people are complaining that they are complex, that you have should be high educated to use them, and that they are not that flexible. So you see that a lot of those software vendors are trying to simplify it, but we have a problem, because we need that data for our transactional business processes. So even those new applications are still complex, and because we are needing more and more data, we even ask more data from people to enter into the systems. So from a perspective of applications, we probably will not see the improvement we need for that part. And that's the reason, because they are best practices. We are knowing them for 30 years now, and we know which information, which data we are needs for our business processes. So we have to find a balance how we get a simplified user interface on one hand, with less interaction with the end user. But on the other hand, we have to add more data. We have to get more data out of the market to make our predictions, to make our smart organization. And that's the question we should think about. And that's where we can find the automation of the artificial intelligence, replacing humans by intelligence place. So every company has to think about what will be the balance between data entry on the one side, and on the other side, to automate the data collection and automate the decisions we have in our company. So, and that's a big discussion, because at this moment we have those traditional UIs, which has a lot of fields, and we have to bring that back to a very simple UI where we can ask some questions, and then the transaction will be fulfilled. And we will see that's just in the middle we are now. And low-code platforms and integration platforms can help us to achieve that. But at the end, we should be using a fully integrated business technology platform to get a very small conversational UI and put all the intelligence, all the data, automated data collections and decisions below the sea level of the iceberg. And there you have to think about how can you as an organization can use a fully integrated business technology platform help you in your organization. But those platforms are there, and you should think about that they can help you in the collection and approval steps by making proposals or fully automate them. And if you can do that, you can reduce the required data entered by the user and simplify the interaction. And the meanwhile, and that's one part I want to trigger you, is that you have to think about how can I make from my complex UI I have today to just a couple of questions in a simple conversation. How can I improve my business processes to that one? Or even more simple, that I can just do a user action. So I don't have a UI at all, but I can do it, for example, this payment by putting this on the machine. And I found this a very nice example because I can do with money, but I can do it in this time also with my watch. But on the watch, it could be from different vendors. So it's my choice of the device I will choose. And even on the device, I can take my own bank. So I can take my own application of the bank. And that's the new world. We have to think about that you can put your own processes, your own devices, and even your own applications the users want to work on that one. So what will be the impact before we will go to Theo, how SAP is solving that? It's just about what do we want to have on our business side and what should be used in our IT department. And if you look at our IT want to have a robust system. It should be standardized. It should be integrated. It should be a supporting part, but it's completely about automation. But on the other side, we have the business, which want have agile processes, want to be flexible, but mostly is looking only at its own silo. It's mostly the driver of the projects because that are the ones who have the money, and IT will support them. And of course, they have the users at this moment, so the employees which are working on there. And there you will see that there's a shift because I mentioned that we want to have the users do some parts, but we want to do more automation also in that part. So this is a very big thing in companies to think about. So, and what I found out is that a lot of companies are already looking at IT topics. But what I also found out is that a lot of those topics are just silo-based. So we will choose an RPA platform, we will choose a chatbot, we will use something for artificial intelligence, we use something for social media. But keep in mind, if you go to the digital platform, they all should work together. So there should not be silo-based solutions to that one, but we have to connect them. So, and from that perspective, we have to look at how we can make that business technology platform available. And the first step you have to do within your organization is to open your systems. That can be done by opening it yourselves by RPA software or by shifting them to the cloud and outsource those systems. Then, because if you are using multiple vendors, you should think about a corporate domain model within your company, because that are your processes which you have on that part. So to simplify that in your organization, you can start with getting insight in the collecting approval processes in your organization using a low-code or no-code platform. And also use intelligence dashboarding to get out of the data some insights in the current processes. And if you have that in place, then you can go to the next two steps. You can add artificial intelligence to replace some of the collecting and approval processes. And you can add also conversational capabilities to make the UI less complex for the end user. So, and of course, this complete structure should be in your strategy, and you should have a methodology for that, and you should have some governance and guidelines. So they are not silo-based. You have to look at that in a complete program. So, and that, if you look at that, then you have to shift the market. And that's about that the data, the IT department should be data-centric. They should be only looking, how will I make my data available? So that can be done by putting an API center of excellence in the middle, where the business can ask which data they want to use, and the IT department will provide those data. So, and from that perspective, you also will see a shift of the developer. We have those developers in our IT department, but we will see also that we get some kind of developers in our business environment, and they call citizen developments. And from that perspective, IT should be thinking about shifting some of their work to the business. So, for example, make flexible processes that can be done in a low-code or no-code platform, or doing the analytics yourself on the business. But on the other hand, we should make that data standardized, stable, robust in our side, and we have to connect that. And Theo will go a little bit further in that process to tell about how SAP is looking at that part. My last slide is this one. It's the slide about that we have that data, structured, unstructured, and it will only have value for you if you can bring that into a business context. And if you have a business context, then you can only make happen if you have real-time insights. So reports you will make once a month will go away in the future because you have those real-time insights, and even a step further, you have some predictions and prescriptions, dashboarding, which will tell you. Only if you have in place, then the data will have value for you. And if the data is there, that will be a trigger of your change of your business models. And from that perspective, cloud is very important to connect all those different data sources. And you have to think about in your organization, if you want to do it with humans, or you want to use it with artificial intelligence, or both. So the picture I showed you before about machinery, data, artificial intelligence, and humans, with those 8 key drivers, that will be your driver for your new processes. So I want to hand over now to Theo, who will explain a little bit more about what SAP is doing on this part.
I will. Well, you can hear me a lot much better when I unmute my microphone, and that's what I did just right now. Thank you very much, Robert, for your interesting introduction in bringing us in the world of data, because that's, well, everybody knows it's the fuel of our community, it's the fuel of our business. No data is no business, no data is no revenue, no data is no stock information, and so on and so forth. So let's see what this data, when this data is that important, let's see if we can look at how SAP will support us by bringing this data together. Once upon a time, they thought they would bring all the data together in just one HANA system, but that was just a small thought, because once they saw that the Internet of Things, for example, would generate that much of information, you weren't able to put it in just one simple system. But nowadays we work in the cloud, A lot of companies work in the cloud, and let's see how we can combine it. But I will try to show you to bring it together from a perspective of SAP. So how will SAP support your organization with all this data information around us, with all these new possibilities in the digital revolution, as Robert told us already? Well, actually, it's quite simple. I think it's quite simple. This is the picture you should bear in mind. You should print it and post it above your bed and dream about it, because it all starts in this business network. On top of the picture, it's your business you're willing to run. It's the business who is bringing your profit, but this business should be supported by business processes. And from this point of view, these business processes can be led, or what you see will be supported by business process intelligence. And therefore, Robert told us about this silo-based working, and that's how we know our companies. But they're somewhere in the way of doing business in an efficient way. We don't want to have just this finance department or this sales department. The only thing we really want is the sales data and the finance data. So that should be in a system. But on top of this data, we have this process, this, for example, lead to cash process, where this process runs through all the different silos in your company. You can also talk about design to operate, source to pay, hire to retire, and multiple processes that are already in place. But these processes run just through your company. They're triggered from the outside because somebody saw a advertisement for a new hire. He or she will respond, and then this will trigger the complete process of onboarding. And once he's in your company, you will follow this person, and at the end, he or she will retire. And all these processes touch all the systems you have, whether it's finance, whether it's business partners, whether it's sales, or all these stuff you need to put into place. And this data, all these processes need data to be intelligent, or to make you intelligent, or perform in an intelligent way. And to get this data together, we first of a lot of time in the history, we wrote it down on paper, then we put it into a system, and then we got these marvelous screens to bring even more into the system. And as Robert told us, it's becoming more and more and more, and the screens become complex and more complex. So this user experience, this experience management is really important. But these processes only run on applications. These are applications of SAP in the Intelligence Suite. You already have them. But it can also be applications outside SAP, and SAP is recognizing that. We will see later on. But it also will, SAP will help us, what they already did. They had these industry solutions, and in the cloud, we will have these industry solutions as well. So this process in here will run exactly on the process in your company. And of course, sustainability is a really important part nowadays, and SAP will help you to bring key figures, KPIs to your dashboard, where you can see what your footprint is with the processes, the way you run. And of course, at the end, it all runs on technology every time again. And SAP has in here, it's SAP Business Technology Platform, formerly known as the SAP Cloud Platform, and it will run on several hyperscalers as you wish. And of course, we also have our on-premise variant of all this technology. But it all starts with your business, the things you're willing to do. What's your core competence? Where do you want to make your profit? Then you have to make these processes intelligent and make it supported by technology and applications. That's the way, the complete picture for your company. So let's make it a step further. When we have all these processes, when we have this lead to cash, we have this source to pay, we have this hire to retire, we have all these other processes in place. And the heart of it is your S/4HANA. But SAP recognizes that it doesn't only have to have its own applications, for like with source to pay, we have this SAP Ariba, but it also recognizes other applications where it has to connect with. It has to integrate with, because there's data outside your company in other applications that is needed to run this particular process for your company. So with hire to retire, we have these success factors, SAP Concur, but maybe you also make use of LinkedIn, or you make use of Oracle Human Capital Management, and you can connect them with your SAP environment. These pre-built SAP HANA integrations make it possible for you to connect the external world, the external applications with your process hire to retire, with your process lead to cash. Wouldn't it be nice if you could bring these together and have this intelligent integration platform right within your hands? And it's there. You can make use of it. It's called SAP Integration Suite. It has all these possibilities to make the connections with all the systems you see in here. This is what the integration suite is all about. It's all about SAP on one hand side and all its products on one hand side, all its applications, whether it's in the cloud or it's on premise, but it's there. And on the other hand, we have all these third-party applications and non-SAP applications. And we can connect all these things, just making use of all the products SAP will provide us, is providing us, by making use of the API Business Hub. And then we have this SAP Graph to harmonize our APIs, or we have our API management to expose the data, to know how APIs are being used and by whom they will be used. It's all in the it's all there in the cloud. You can well, click it on and it will be possible to run it. Making use of open connectors. Because when you want to connect the external parties, you have these open connectors in place and you can make use of it. I won't tell it's all for free, of course. You have to pay for it, but it's there and you can make use of it. And one of the most important part I think SAP is working on, and you can find it on your API Business Hub, is this SAP one domain model and metadata. Because when you want to talk together, whether it's within your company with several applications or whether it's outside your company with other applications, you have to talk in the same kind of language. When you talk about a sales order, you have to know what this sales order will mean, how its sales order is built up with data is in this sales order. Or when it comes to customer, what's a customer? Then on top of several applications, you have to have a uniform data domain model to know what this customer means. So this master data integration will be taken care of. And SAP is providing this in its cloud application on top of the several hyperscalers, as we already know. So therefore, we will be able to do this data integration. And there it's again, it's all about data. You have to collect the data. Why do you have to collect this data? That I will show you later on. And this data will run through processes. So it's all in an integrated way, because we know not all your data will be stored in your S/4HANA system. No, you will need other systems outside your HANA systems. And when we want to have it real time, when we want to have it instantly, we want to have it now, not tomorrow, not within a week, not within a month, no, now, then we have to make this connection real tight, and we have to make this connection every millisecond. Not even a second, less than a second. I should have the data out of my Oracle system combined with SAP, combined with LinkedIn data, and it should run on my mobile application. Wouldn't it be nice? And it's possible. It's just there. You only have to connect it. That's all. But when having this data and you have this, let's say, data lake, you don't have an intelligent enterprise. You only have the data. Robert told us already, you have to bring it in a business context. And when you have it in business context, you have to bring it to insights. And that's what SAP is recognizing as well. SAP tells us we are in a digital age. So our user will have a lot of digital possibilities. Well, let's see. When you have a child of 5 years old, it doesn't ask you how the internet works, because it doesn't go to ask you how water works. When you open up the tap, the water is just there. When you open up your tablet or you pick up your mobile phone, the internet is just there. And when I can speak to my telly, or I can speak to my radio, or I can speak to my light bulb in house, or to my radio, why can't I talk to my business application? So what we see in there, that we're used to put data into a system by just typing it in. But there's this much of data available that we will bring it in from the external by integrating it automatically. But we are looking for more and more the possibilities to bring it, to put it even much easier into the system with less effort. And that was what Robert told us already. Wouldn't it be nice if the screens just had 3 or 4, 5 questions and all the data needed is into the system? Why do I have to fill out a leave request form with data on it and so on? And can't I just tell my system, I want to have, next Thursday, I want to have leave. Take care of it. SAP is running on there for a digital assistant. We formerly known as Copilot. Well, Copilot isn't there anymore, but the digital assistants will be there. The first step we can make in this is, for example, making use of chatbots, making systems more proactive and working together. But beneath that, we need these intelligent technologies. We need artificial intelligence to do this situation handling, to do this natural language processing, to make it possible to work with Internet of Things. So beneath all these things, well, think about the iceberg Robert showed us. Underneath, we need these technologies. And when we can combine this, we can have a more real-time, easy integration. This will lead up to new business models. Or maybe you think about new business models where you can integrate it with this new technologies. But at the end, it's all about analytics and real-time steering, because all this intelligence, all this data will be on some dashboard, will be analyzed. And it will show us that we have to change our business model, or we need some more technologies, or we can run it in another way in a digital age. So these 4 pillars make your data and make your enterprise more intelligent. And SAP is running this on S/4HANA. And it's already there. Don't think this will be there in the future over the next 10 years. Once you run on HANA, you will be able to run all these different pillars side by side and even think about new business models within your company. And I told you a lot about this already, because what's beneath those 4 pillars is running conversational AI, making able to have this small interaction with your systems. Dear SAP, store an order for a new laptop with 2 terabytes of SSD, and it will order it for you. That so easy it can be. No difficult screens, no difficult complex interactions, just as simple as can be. And I can do my work again. So that would be nice. Behind this, we can put this intelligent bots, this RPA, the robotic process automation, where we can have attended and unattended. So attended with the user, unattended. It can run by itself to run manual actions that you do every day, that you do every week. And these repetitive manual actions can be done just by this RPA. So this user will have time to do other intelligence actions as well. When we come to situation handling, then we have something interesting in mind. SAP has a roadmap on this, where it can take your situation. For example, when you have this purchase and you want to, tomorrow there will be a new delivery, and then the system gets a mail and it tells you this delivery will not be there tomorrow. But if this delivery isn't there, your production will be in trouble. So the system gets this mail, it reads this mail, it knows the interaction with this purchase order. It will see that your system, production will get stuck. So it will calculate, where can I find this delivery? Where can I find it by one of my other suppliers? And then it will come up to you. It will tell you, well, Theo, we have one problem. This part will not be delivered, but tomorrow it can be delivered by supplier A and supplier C. Just make a choice. And I will take C, and then it will put in the order, and tomorrow everything is nice and fine. So it can detect exceptions, it can calculate how to work with it, and it can give me an insight to action, and I only have to make a choice. And SAP is actually running this on several processes. There is a roadmap on this. So be aware, this is in your system, you can make use of it. And all behind this, of course, is machine learning and self-learning bots. You can make use of that. And when you want to have more data to analyze it and to optimize your processes, you can connect Internet of Things to your applications, and all together will make our business processes intelligent. And it will all run on SAP Business Technology Platform. Beneath that, when we talk about the Business Technology Platform, it has a lot of capabilities. There are a lot of possibilities in here to run the particular kind of stuff. So when we talk about integration and extensibility, we have all these different kinds of stuff in there. Robert already talked about low-code, no-code applications. RPA came along. But also for data insights and actions, we can bring this into machine learning or artificial intelligence to do this pattern recognizing, or to calculate in a certain way to see what the next steps should be. So we can do this prescriptive and predictive analysis, all running on data models. And the foundation, the basics of it all, is a domain model with the APIs, with developer toolings, security, of course, all this stuff, all this technology working together to make your enterprise more intelligent, to make your enterprise more fully automated, almost run by itself. So you get some spare time to do something nice, so run a sport or something like that. So what can we do from and for business? Well, because we're an expert for over 20 years now, we're working together, but my colleagues and myself, we have an average of 20 years of experience, and we know what can be done with this business technology platform. We know how S/4HANA can be extended, what possibilities there are. So we can tell you how to work with robotic process automation, this conversational AI, how to integrate the internal world and the external world with your SAP systems, and how to run with the low-code platforms SAP is providing us, because they bought this beginning of this year AppGiver as a low-code platform, and they have SAP Room as well. So we can help you because we know how the technology the part under the iceberg works, and we know what is needed to run it as smoothly as possible on top of the iceberg. And therefore, we have this strategy which can help you to support, to make the right steps from strategy to actually run. And it will start by identifying all the things in your business model, how it can be digitalized. So let's put it in some kind of charter where we can see that this is your process, this is the way it's running, which part is manual, which part can be digitalized, and how can it be digitalized. So we have this different kind of parts where you can show it. Through some workshops, we can run this and we can show you how this is going to work. Once we know what's going to be digitalized, we can identify it in more detail. How is this process actually running? Which parts are known? And from our experience, we know that all the processes have the same pattern, the so-called, we call it the Icasio pattern. And when we see it, or look at your process, we can see, well, this can be automated, this should be manual or can partly be automated, and so on in the different steps we have. But it's all about the information we need. And we have different, you can look at it from a different kind of angle, different ways to look at it, from a user kind of way, which needs some data, or from a process kind of way, or from a business kind of way, or from the information model itself. So you have different angles to look at this information. How can we bring this information together? And that combined with the process is actually what we will do, because our business is running processes, but our business needs data to run through these processes. Then we have to identify the technology, or maybe how it can run on your existing technology, or there should be something new. So that's what we can identify. And then we can identify, then we have to talk about, is there a standard solution already available in the market? Because we are going to for best of breed, we're going to make a solution SAP is already providing us. And if it isn't there, we can even build it ourselves and help you by that. And of course, when we have made all these decisions in these 5 steps, we are going to implement it, because we're not only advising you in this area, we're not only making this progress and helping you think about it, we actually make it as well. And that's how we can help you, to support you with our digital innovation methodology, to support you from strategy to run. It will actually, we will leave when it's actually running in your business. That's what we do over 25 years now. We have these business innovation workshops. We can run design thinking workshops for digital transformation to identify the actual challenge and build prototypes on that. But you can build things, but you need some architects as well to see how these structures work together. And that's where we can help you to have these second opinions. We can make your initial projects. We can have this brainstorming discussions with you to make it all work together. And in the end, we have these experts on UX, on UI, on cloud integration to make it run on a business technology platform, whether this is on-premise or in the cloud, because it doesn't matter to us. We know these SAP systems as well. We know them for over 20 years. So when you show us an ABAP program, we can make it run on your UI5 as you wish. No problem. When you want to integrate, we can bring your PI system, we can bring it to the cloud and make it run on a integration platform. So challenge us and we will help you, we will support you to do so. So are you already prepared for the future, as we told you? Because data is there, IT is there, and it won't go away because you need it to run your process. And let us support you to make this future possible and to go from reporting to prescriptive, to predictive, through predictive, to prescriptive, to fully automated. And we would like you to help you to talk to your business application instead of typing data. into it and to integrate it with the rest of the world. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Theo and Robert. It was indeed a very interesting session from you guys. I did not receive any question in the chat box. So for everybody that's attended this event as well, thank you guys for attending. You will receive a survey afterwards with some questions, which would be very much appreciated if you had to fill that in. That would help us for the next time. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or to Robert or Theo afterwards. This whole event was recorded, so it will be shared with everyone afterwards for the person that missed it. And well, yeah, I think thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Mohammed, also thank you that we gave me the position to tell this story.
And everybody have a nice evening, and then see each other.